Today on Repair Rebel, this is how gross my seats are. Ooh, is that all people juice? Alright, that's better. Back in 2014, I bought this Dodge Caravan brand new. Now, several years later, with over 100K on the clock and only light vacuuming ever done on the seats, I think it's time we need to clean these disgusting seats. I've never done a deep clean on any kind of upholstery or car seats, but after watching some videos online, it didn't look that difficult. I already had most of the tools, including the shop vac, this pump sprayer, this evacuator attachment for the shop vac, some upholstery cleaner that I had laying around in the garage, and of course I already had the drill, and the only other thing I had to get was this brush that I could put on the end of the drill to agitate the cleaner that I was going to put on the seats. After putting some clean water in the pump sprayer, I was ready to go. If you've never done this before, it's actually not very complicated, and you really can't mess anything up. So even if you have to do it 2 or 3 times, you will eventually get your seats cleaned out. The first thing you want to do is vacuum everything up, because the last thing you want to do is to take your drill with the brush and grind anything further into the fabric. Nothing complicated here, just do a thorough job and make sure you get in all the nooks and crannies. Depending on how dirty your seats are, and if you want to get the entire seat clean, including the back and the sides, you may need to actually remove your seats from the car so you have full access to it. But since my seats were really just dirty on the front surface where you were going to sit on it, I decided to just leave it in the car. With everything vacuumed up, it was now time to start the deep cleaning. I decided to work in sections so I didn't overwhelm myself, starting with the seating surface, then going to the back surface, and eventually heading to the headrest. Being my first time, I didn't soak the seats too much because I didn't know how much the shop vac with the evacuator was going to actually be able to draw back out of the seats. So I wanted to go a little bit light here, and eventually I could go further if I wanted to do a second and third round. Same thing with the upholstery foam cleaner. I didn't know how much I was going to need, and I was a little bit worried that if I put too much on, I would start slinging the foam all over the car. So at first I kept it kind of light. With the built-in brush, I went ahead and agitated the cleaner into the fabric to get everything started before using the drill. With the foam cleaner worked in, I went ahead and grabbed my drill and set it to a slow speed. And again, I was just kind of playing with the pressure, the speed, and how to move the drill across the surface. I wasn't really sure what to expect, so I just took everything slow. With this first go around, I noticed that the seats weren't quite wet enough, and the foam cleaner wasn't really bringing out any of the dirt. It was just kind of getting soaked into the fabric, but I went ahead and worked it in anyway, assuming that I would just go with a second round. I hit the seats again with some more clean water to try to get that foam cleaner to bring some of that dirt up to the surface. I did another round of the foam cleaner, going a little bit heavier this time. I went a little too heavy with the foam cleaner and it was slinging around a little bit, but by controlling the direction and the speed of the drill, I was able to keep it to a minimum, and I just kept a towel nearby and wiped up anywhere where it got a little too slung around. Now came the fun part and the moment of truth. Was I going to be able to see that disgusting grossness come out of the seats by using this extractor? I could see that the foam had changed color and the dirt was coming up to the surface with it. Just like magic, I saw years of grime, grit, and sweat get sucked away into the shop vac. It was very satisfying. It really is a lot of fun to see all of that get sucked up through that clear evacuator. Even though it is gross and it is a mess that you made, it is nice to see it all disappear. I could see the velvety texture of the fabric start to come back, and it was no longer matted down, but I could also tell that I was going to have to do at least another round and possibly a third, as there still was a little bit of discoloration in the fabric. I slowly took my time, making sure to let the evacuator get as deep as it could and pull out as much of that grime and grossness out of the seats. I went in different directions with the evacuator across the fabric just so that it could have plenty of opportunities to get as much of that disgusting grossness out of the seats. With the first round done, I did a quick scratch test just to see how things were looking, and you could immediately tell already that the fabric was so much cleaner than when it started. Encouraged by the results so far, I went ahead and did a second round on the seating surface. After doing a second round on the seating surface, I was really happy with the results. The liquid was coming out clear through the extractor, and I didn't see a reason to do a third round. Now it was just time to repeat this process on the back part of the seat, the headrest, and then eventually going over to the passenger seat and doing the same thing over again. I was going to have to drive this car the next day, and I wasn't sure how long it would take for these seats to dry out. So as a quick measure, I decided to grab my heat gun and just do a few passes over it at the low setting. I made sure to keep the gun at a good distance away from the seats and kept the gun moving so that it wouldn't accidentally burn or melt anything. If you don't have a heat gun, you could easily use a hairdryer to speed up the drying process, or if you got the time, just roll down the windows and let nature take its course in drying out the seats. So here's a little before and after of the driver's side, which was the worst of the two seats. Not only were the seats nice, clean, velvety, and soft again, but it smelled great too. It made the entire inside of the van smell nice and clean. With the job well done, it was time to clean out the vacuum and all the tools, and upon opening the vacuum, I got to see just what came out of those seats, and oh boy am I glad I did this job. I hope watching me attempt this for the first time encourages you to do the same with your car the next time you need to get those seats deep cleaned. I put links in the description of all the tools, accessories, and chemicals I use to get this job done. You can help support my channel by clicking on any of those links, and if you make a purchase, I get paid a commission from the seller at no cost to you, so thank you. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment and tell me what you thought. And remember, don't pay someone else to do it, be a rebel, do it yourself.